Welcome to the 25th Hour podcast, where successful business owners talk about the magic of creating a 25th hour every day. I'm your host, Lisa Crilly Malice. We've all been there. Your calendar's in great shape, your to-do list is done, you are totally in the zone. All the balls that you have in the air are being easily juggled. And then something changes. And all of a sudden, chaos reigns. This is the podcast that will help you learn to up-level your time management strategies so you can get back in control of your day and make an extra hour, your 25th hour, a reality every day. Today, I am joined with Nancy Hetrick. She is the owner of Smarter Divorce Solutions and Divorce Financial Planner Training Center, and is a financial advisor with Better Money Decisions. As a certified divorce financial analyst, mediator, and forensic specialist, she assists divorcing clients with crafting a creative, out-of-court settlement agreement in a kinder, gentler, more affordable process.
Nancy, who doesn't want that, right?
Right? I know, exactly. I'm like, yes. Like, and I always joke, I hope I never have to use you, but if I do, I know exactly where I want to go. So Nancy has over 20 years experience in both investment management and financial planning. She's become a nationally known trainer for divorce financial planners and offers continuing education and intensive advanced training for CDFA holders through divorcefinancialtraining.com. She's also the author of Divorce is Not for Dummies. I love that. How to cover your assets. Get it. Thank you for being funny. Divorce financial planning, building a successful niche business. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Have been really looking forward to this because so many financial advisors are really struggling to differentiate themselves out in the market. And so, this is a niche that I just think people would be really interested to learn more about.
Yeah, so I am super excited you're here. I'm thrilled to death that we were introduced a couple months ago, and you were kind enough to give me some background when I was doing some research. And here you are again so it's true when you say a kinder way, because here you are being kind again, jumping on the podcast in its earliest days. So I know that you have your hands in multiple pies, or that's a silly analogy.
I've kind of become a serial entrepreneur.
Yes, you have. And so I know that there are ways that you've figured out along the way, strategies that help you be more productive. And would you share a couple of those with us?
Yep. Well, and what's interesting about that too is there are some very, very common things that stop, especially financial advisors, from being as productive as they could be and making as much progress as they can. And it has to do with the kind of people that are attracted to being financial advisors in the first place. So number one, we almost all tend to be very perfectionist. And so we over obsess on making things perfect before we will show them to anybody, before we'll put a website up, before we'll do a white paper. And we can get into this analysis paralysis. And so there's a mantra that everybody needs to adopt right out of the gate, which is done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. And for women especially, we're the worst. We're the absolute worst. Second is we have typically all worked really, really hard and learned a lot and studied a lot and gotten all our credentials. And we kind of come from a place that says nobody else can do it like I can do it. So I can't possibly delegate all of these different tasks because then they won't be getting the service that only I can provide. Hogwash. Right? You have to get over that. You have to surround yourself with a team of people that, frankly, once you train them and they understand your culture and your vision and your purpose, they can do a better job than you. That's how you know when you've built the right team. So the only way I can possibly be the CEO for 3 completely different businesses is by surrounding myself with a team of amazing people that keep everything running. And then I get to identify what is my zone of genius, what is my superpower. And that's what I should be spending all of my time doing.
So Nancy, tell me, is there anything that you're looking for right now to help you as you continue to grow your 3 different businesses?
Yeah, actually, and especially since your audience is financial advisors, I am telling you, like I said, I want to build a business that runs without me. I need to replace myself in smarter divorce solutions. So I need a financial advisor that wants to niche market in divorce, ideally one that already has their own practice that would be interested in joining my team. I need a new person that is willing to become a CDFA and start doing the financial expertise with divorcing clients. And one of the greatest perks is they get free coaching with me.
Yes, I was just listening to a podcast where they said you are, it was a reminder that you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with.
Exactly.
And this person shared, he's like, I looked around at my 5 people and I was very grateful. And I also realized, similar to what you had said earlier about networking, that their businesses were not in a place that I wanted my business to grow. So, the perk of being coached by you, huge perk if you're looking to grow your business. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And in fact, the other CDFA on my team, I mean, when you get to work for me, because the company is so well established, most financial advisors that go into this field will do 1 or 2 cases a month. When Leslie started doing cases with me, she's doing 3 to 5 cases a month. You want to talk about a steep learning curve, and she's only been doing it 2 years, and she's got way more experience now than pretty much any of her competition. So it's a fabulous learning environment.
And what is your zone of genius, your superpower?
This, basically, the teaching and training. I adore teaching and training, being in front of a group of people, helping them find their own vision, their own purpose, their own mission, and then helping them be successful. I absolutely love it. So I'm working on the other businesses being able to run themselves without me, and really focusing on working with financial advisors to build this kind of a niche business on their own. To that end, this year I actually put out the textbook for it. So we actually have a textbook now for divorce financial planning, which had never existed before.
Oh, that's so awesome. Coming from an educator background, I hear you. I completely hear you. There's something about being able to lay out the concepts and see the light bulbs go on that is so empowering, so encouraging. Like, I know there's nothing like it.
Yeah, and so what's so funny is I never planned on being a financial advisor. I went to college to be a teacher. And I thought that's what I was going to do till I started talking to teachers. And it was like, oh, I don't want any part of that. So adult education has always been embedded in whatever I'm going to do with myself. But I was student body president in high school. My happy place is up in front of a crowd of people. So that in itself puts me in a very small group of about 10% that aren't horrified to do public speaking,
Tell me, Nancy, about when you said done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Give me a little more information on that.
Websites are a perfect example, right? If you're struggling over content and exactly what should be said and exactly what the right pictures are, get it up. Get it up. That is, in this day and age, you are not an official business until you have a website. And if your first website is nothing but what I call a brochure website, that just says, here's who I am, here's where I am, here's what I do, that is totally, get it up first, perfect it later as you go. Maybe you're gonna work with a branding specialist down the road. But I was always a real big believer too in doing everything on an absolute shoestring budget. I have been building my own businesses now for 8 years, and I never used any debt until 4 years ago when I hired my own business coach. And that was the first time I wrote I didn't write a check. I put $30,000 on credit cards, and I had to use more than one credit card to do it. Mm-hmm. And because I knew myself well enough that if I had the roadmap, I would execute. Because at about 4 years ago is when my business had grown to the point where I knew I was in uncharted water. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I needed to surround myself with people that had gone before me. And frankly, I got to the point where I was really struggling to find peer groups of business owners that were taking it as seriously as I was taking it. Every networking group, every mentoring group that I was part of, I was the one mentoring everyone else. Mm-hmm. And so I really needed something to bring me to that next level. And I knew if I made the investment in myself, I would make it pay off. And that year I paid $30,000 for that coaching, and I increased my revenue by $150,000.
So well worth the investment.
It was a fabulous investment. And I stayed with that coach for another year. And the second year, I added another $250,000 to my top line revenue.
Yeah, there's, I think all the time when you can identify where your gap is and what you need,
yep.
Stop figuring it out for yourself. Like, you've identified it, you know it. Now go out and get the most brilliant person that you can find to help you fill that gap. And when you're talking done is better than perfect. One of my clients is in marketing, and she doesn't send out an e-blast very often. And I said, why can't you? She says, I just get paralyzed when I'm working on it. She's like, because this is what I do for a living.
Isn't that amazing?
Right. And so I said, look, here, give it a sliding scale. If you had all the time and the money in the world, you would send out this. Minimally, you are okay with this. I said, and then just stay between those two bars, but consistency is the key. Get it out, get it done.
And that's so fascinating what you just said. That's the secret, right? Consistency. Because here's the thing. Most of us know what we should be doing to move the business forward, but we get buried in the weeds of the day-to-day noise of what seems to be on fire. And before you know it, 6 months has gone by and you haven't done any of those things that you know you need to do to move the business forward. So my argument with getting a coach for most people is, it's not that they're going to necessarily teach you something you don't already know. What they do is they force you to stay focused. They force you to take action on the things that you know you need to do to execute.
Right. Absolutely. And I always feel a good coach is someone who can look at your strengths and help you stay within those strengths and help build the structure around you to make what it is you're trying to do and where you're trying to be consistent, make it easy.
Right.
Like, if the answer is I have to try harder, it's the wrong solution. Like,
right.
Like, that is 100% the wrong solution. It's not going to work that way. You mentioned getting in the weeds.
Yeah.
And so when I work with clients, the first thing I say is, to get you out of the weeds, let's delegate. Let's get some people to do some of that stuff. What was one of the toughest things you found, if you can think back to when you first started delegating? What was one of the toughest things for you to do?
Oh, client contact, because my superpower as a financial advisor is my relationships with my clients. And I didn't want my clients to feel like they were getting shortchanged if the amount of contact that I had with them was less than what they were used to. So that was the hardest thing up front, is how can I introduce a new person into my relationship with these clients and not have them feel like they were losing something instead of gaining something. And so there's that's an onion that needs to be unpeeled, mm-hmm. right? Because now you have to figure out what it is you need this other person to do with the clients. Then you need to make sure that your hiring is appropriate. And here's something I have learned over 8 years of being an entrepreneur is, entrepreneurs, we are the worst hiring people ever, because we see everyone's potential. And we're sure that it's almost like that with women getting, men that constantly need to be fixed, right?
Right.
We believe we can hire these people, and if we just love them enough and we train them right, they're going to turn into the people we know they're capable of being. Such a horrible mistake, right? So after I hired and fired 4 people, I finally got wise, and I found a small business HR company that she now does all my hiring for me, and it's so much better. Delegation, right? Delegate what you know you're not any good at. Get the people that are much better at it than you are. So you get the right person in the right seat on the right bus. Now they're going to be aligned with my culture, with my vision, with the client experience that I deliver, so that when they interact with the clients feel the same warm, fuzzy love that they feel from me. And now it's a richer relationship and not one that's less.
Right. Plus, when you're bringing someone else in to help hire for you, you have to be clear on what you need, because that person can't read your mind.
Right.
Whereas I know that for many of my clients, when they start to look to bring someone else on board, they've got a fuzzy idea and they don't necessarily step back enough to take a moment to think, I want them to have this skill set. Here are some non-negotiables. These are some things I'm looking for. And when you outsource that, you have to have clarity.
Yeah. So one of the things I do with my coaching clients is I have them do a 2-week time study. Okay, if I want you to document everything you're doing for 2 weeks, and the last column of it is going to be, could someone else do this? And you're going to put a check mark next to all of the things that someone else could be doing. Now we have a job description of who we know we need to hire. Now I can work with that HR person in a much more effective way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I use a similar thing, and one of my things is, do I love this? So right. I also use, can someone else do it? And then I do a thing as, do I love this, to help? Because there's something about loving it, but someone else can do it. And like all of a sudden you're like, I could let that go because here are all these other things I love. Right. That mean so much more. Right. Yes. Awesome.
Well, and that's that zone of genius exercise, right? Mm-hmm. Which I can't think about the top of my head. It's from a really it's either Jim Collins or one of those great leadership kind of gurus. And the zone of genius is, you've got your zone of genius, then you've got your zone of competence. Things I can do, they're okay, right? I can do them. I don't love them, but it's okay. Then you've got your zone of incompetence, stuff you can't stand, and you're not even any good at it.
Right.
Never should you be wasting your time there. How many financial advisors are probably agonizing over doing their own bookkeeping or doing their own payroll? It's like, what are you doing? That is just like, get it off your plate. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of my clients recently, she just looked at me, she goes, all I want to do is sit in my office and talk to people all day. And I said, okay, good news. We know what that means. I said, because if we were to translate, that means you like to talk with them, figure out what they need. It doesn't mean you necessarily want to work their financial plan. It doesn't mean that you want to do the marketing. It means you want to gather their needs. That's what you want to do. And then the following day I had someone, another financial advisor, who said, I just want to market. I can bring in the clients. I love to do that.
That's a superpower.
I know. I was like, yes. And I said, great. Now I know what you like to do. Let's figure out how to move off all the rest, because it's different. Like many people think, every financial advisor or every financial planner, they all like to do this. No,
not true at all. No. And obviously, Lisa, you've learned it as well. Whatever it is that you love to do is what you're going to be so good at. That's what you're going to be better at than anyone else. So the more time you can spend there, guess what? The more money you're going to make.
Right.
So it works.
Yeah. So just hang out there. Anything else you can remember back from your early delegating days that it was tough?
I think the hardest thing was, every business owner, you're going to go through a phase when you grow to a certain point before you're ready to hire. You're going to hit a point where you're doing too much. You have to, right? Because if not, you'd be hiring someone that you can't really afford. So you have to build the business up to a point where you might be working 50 to 60 hours before you're ready to bring on that next person. And there is a point in there where you know you need help, but it's really challenging to get clear on who that person is and how that's going to work. And that's frankly where an outside set of eyes can be really, really helpful. Because there might be things you haven't even thought of. And maybe it's not an employee. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a virtual admin on a certain project. Maybe it's just using outside contractors and vendors to take some things off your plate. And finding that optimum place of, is it an employee or is it not employee? Sometimes when you're in it too deep, it's really hard to see. And that's the time in growing the business where bringing in that consultant, coach, mentor can really be valuable.
I will always joke, coaches need coaches too.
Absolutely.
And I say, if you're working with a coach who's not working with a coach, think about that.
Yeah.
Because we can be so tunnel vision and see what we know. And we can think it's so hard to make it true, but that doesn't make it true. And so having someone shine a mirror on it is super helpful.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I find them connected with is kind of the tithing idea for ourselves. Why in the world wouldn't I dedicate 10% of my revenues to my own personal development? I mean, come on, really? Aren't we worth that? Which means the more revenue you generate, the more money you should be devoting to your own personal growth. Otherwise,
I love it put that way. Yeah, I love that. I use profit first in my business.
Me too.
Yes. So I'm already resonating with that idea.
Yep. I love Mike McCallowitz is amazing. So yeah, I've done the whole, I am using a profit first coach at the moment. And I have my own business coach as well. And it's now I understand that is an actual operating expense of my business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is. And the other thing that I'm always amazed at is people that will do a coaching program for a year, see their success level go up astronomically, and then quit the coach. It's like, why would you quit the exact thing that was getting you the success you wanted?
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. I agree 100%.
And that always goes back to then their own money mindset of scarcity.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I find I may switch coaches based on new gaps, because one coach will get me to a place and I'll be like, oh, okay, I think I'm here.
Yeah.
And not that I ever outgrow a coach or have gotten everything I need from them, but I find that I'm pretty good at filling that gap, and it opened up a new one that I was unaware of. It's always
and you know what else? A really good coach will tell their clients, you've outgrown me and it's time for you to move to someone else.
Yes, I agree with you completely. So tell me a little bit about who are the people that you love to work with? If people are watching right now and they're like, this is resonating with me, who are the people you love to work with?
Well, certainly, I have my clients, right, that we do the divorce work for. But as I mentioned, my superpower really now is in the teaching and training of financial advisors. And let's face it, your podcast is for financial advisors. So here's what I want to put out there. What I'm finding is a lot of career financial advisors that start to tap around the age of 45 or 50. We start to get to the point where we really want to, it changes. It stops being about the income and it starts being more about impact and purpose and legacy. And we're wanting to find a way that we can make a difference for people. And the other thing that happens is by about 45 or 50, 50% of us have been through a divorce. And so there is a connection with the emotional upheaval and the crazy transition that divorce brings. And once people have gone through it, or they've seen a friend or family member go through it, they realize that bringing financial expertise into the divorce arena could make such a difference for people. And certainly that's what brought me to this field. The other thing that happens is, you know, being a financial advisor is got a lot of similarities with being a realtor. There's about 70% more of us than there is business to go around. And we all are looking for a way to differentiate ourselves in our marketplace. And we all know this, the demographic change that's happening in our country, where a boatload of money is transitioning into the hands of women. And so it's a very natural niche. If you have been impacted by divorce, you realize that there's a ton of women that will be stewards of money for the first time in their lives and need support and need advisors to help them. And this is an amazing way to connect with those women, serve those women, not only during their divorces, but throughout the rest of their lives. And I'm using that female stereotype because it exists for a reason. But the reality is, it's not only women. You will have men in the reverse situation. I actually have worked with couples where both of them stay with me as their financial advisor when it's all over and done. So there's tons of opportunity here to really impact the way that people will be able to live the rest of their lives. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more rewarding than to work with a couple, help them get through their divorce process, and have one of them come back to me 6 months later and say, oh my goodness, we've been able to stay friends. I never thought that was going to be possible. Yes. We get an opportunity to preserve families and help their adult children have weddings and have holidays, and everybody can get along because we added a sense of sanity to the process. And I will tell you, I mean, I've been a financial advisor for 20 years now, and this is the most powerful work I've ever done.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I have chills. Yay. Yes, I still have chills. And I think through my husband, my husband was married before me, and you just hit a chord with family weddings and first birthday parties and baby showers and like all of those pieces, and how uncomfortable or comfortable they can be depending on the path to get there.
Yep, exactly. And that outcome is 100% determined by how you go through the divorce process. When people lawyer up and they go into a criminal system to deal with a family issue, I guarantee you will come out enemies at the end, because that's the way the system is structured. Mm-hmm. The good news is, for a good 20 years now, the public is demanding better options. Think about Gwyneth Paltrow and conscious uncoupling, and the whole trend toward mediation, and there's a new trend in collaborative divorce. There are several states that are now have legislation to remove divorce from the court system completely for couples that agree. Minnesota has legislation right now that will allow you to get a divorce with a mediator, with a financial person like me, and never ever have to send it to a courthouse or a judge. Just take your agreements and file it with the state. Keep them off the court calendars completely. This is the wave of the future. Mm-hmm. People are realizing that there's a better way to do this. And so my goal in working with financial advisors, frankly, I'm building an army. We need to be offering couples in every city in this country an alternative. And I can help you do it very, very quickly. You can launch a 6-figure business in about a year and really hit this need that is absolutely unaddressed for the large part.
Right. Right. And it goes back to so many pieces, but it goes back to your need and desire to educate. It goes, you look at the fact of where are we now as a country? Where's the trends going? Here's a place that you can bring your skill set in.
Right.
Help other people bring in theirs to fit a need that's sitting right there, wide open. Oh, that's awesome. And to think that one of the ways you've been able to get here is because you have been able to delegate.
Right. Right. And that, and at the same time though, so I work with financial advisors all across the spectrum. And one of the things we do at the very beginning is get very, very clear on what it is you want to create. Okay, I knew the minute I started my business that my goal was to create a business that ran without me. Okay, that was my goal. I also work with financial advisors that are very, very clear. They want to be self-employed. They want to do the work. They don't really even want to have employees. And then they want to retire at a certain age and be done. Bigger is not always better, right? One of my main foundational principles for my coaching clients is build the business that lets you live the life you want to live. We're here to live a life. We're not here to work all the time.
Right.
So let's get clear on what you want that life to look like and how then we can build the business that's going to let you live that life you want to live.
Right, absolutely. And a book reference you may have read, because you said you love Mike Michalowicz, to build a business that runs without you. Have you read Clockwork?
Not yet. I've
Okay.
read Pumpkin Plan, Profit First, and Fix This Next. So Clockwork.
Yes.
Okay.
Clockwork. So Clockwork is a great book for people who are looking to create a business that runs without them.
Yeah.
So in one of my group programs, we use Clockwork kind of as our study guide-ish.
Right.
As we're going through those steps. So I think that's one you'll love. And then the other, I'm on a Mike Michalowicz kick today. I listened to his podcast all morning. But Fix This Next talks a lot about building a legacy.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. So
and I'm using the Fix This Next process with my coaching clients as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great stuff to know, because one of the biggest challenges for small business owners is, gosh, I feel like 87 things need my attention. What should I focus
where do I start? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lays it out so well with his triangle.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful process.
Beautiful book.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about living a life, and it's not just about work, it's about living your life. The title of the podcast is The 25th Hour. So, which is around the idea of, if you could have an extra hour each day, how would you like to spend it? So what would you like to do with your extra hour each day?
Oh, I'd like to finally figure out how in the heck to squeeze in yoga every day. And then once it's not July anymore, I would be hopping on my motorcycle. So yeah, I'm a motorcycle babe.
All right. I did not know that about you.
Yeah, my hubby and I are biker people, and he's actually off right now. He's been, for the last 2 weeks, been just riding all over the country, went up to Minnesota, and so he should be home Friday. But yeah, that's kind of our stress relief is motorcycling. So that would be nice to add some of that.
So it'd be more motorcycling and yoga.
Yeah. Because one of the things I think that is probably universal with most women, it's the first thing that suffers when we are really, really busy. Yeah, that'd be us.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Self-care is still a challenge for me. It's something that I really, really have struggled with, because I have a lot of goals. I have a lot of stuff I want to accomplish, right? I'm very accomplishment driven. Very easy to just completely neglect myself. And that's one of the things that working with my coach has helped me do. I've created a whole new morning routine now. I wake up at 5 a.m. because I live in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you want to go on a walk outside,
if you're going to do
you
something,
pretty much got to do it at 5 a.m. So and it's beautiful at 5 a.m. So I wake up at 5, I get dressed, I have a cup of coffee, let my mind wake up. Then I go on a 2-mile walk. Then I come back and I meditate. And then I come into the office. Before, I'm a morning person. So before, I was in the office by about 6:30. And I was like, I do not need to be in the office at 6:30 a.m. So how about I restructure this morning routine to take care of me? Because I was really, it had started to suffer pretty badly.
Yeah, I did something very similar. Because my best creative time is in the morning. So in my calendar and in my mind, it was go in, maximize that time, then go and do your self-care. But in reality, that did not happen.
Likewise.
I flipped mine. And one of the things that have come out from the last couple of months is virtual yoga. Where before, I would drive 30 minutes, 35 minutes in, take the class, chat a little bit, drive 30, 35 minutes back, where now I can pop on virtual yoga, come right back off. So that has definitely helped with the self-care piece for me. And it's a work, we all are a work in progress. I as much as anyone else.
For sure.
Well, fantastic. So where can people get a hold of you?
So many different places.
Right.
Well, honestly, the best way is email. My main business is Smarter Divorce Solutions, an S at the end. So Nancy@smarterdivorcesolutions.com. Shoot me an email. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of the different social medias. But honestly, I'm one of those OCD people about email. And like, if you email me, you'll hear from me like within an hour or two.
I know.
It's kind of sick.
Well, as a person who's emailed you, I appreciate the quick response. As a person who teaches people to manage their time for a business, that's a whole nother thing. But as a person who's emailed you, I love the fact that you get back to me right away.
Yeah. And I can teach you how to be really good with your email too, anybody out there, because there's systems for this.
Right?
But yeah, if I have more than 10 emails in my inbox, I get kind of panicky.
I know if I have to scroll, then I was like, oh, wait, this isn't good. This isn't good. I need to make sure I can see all the things in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I so appreciate your time today, Nancy. Thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your passion for what you do. I highly encourage you to check out Nancy. If you're if you're a financial advisor right now and you're thinking, this sounds like a place for me, check her out. She can help you build your practice. If you happen to be out there right now looking for a financial advisor, hello, here's a great one. So take her up on her offer, shoot her an email. And if you've enjoyed today's podcast and you'd like to create the 25th hour in your day every day, I invite you to check out impactivestrategies.com/quiz for a 2-minute quiz to help you identify a couple strategies that will help you create that extra hour.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
Thank you.